So you've seen that I've said that Alex Albon could be a genius, or maybe that he's cheating. But before I tell you that, let me first set the scene. It's Albert Park at the 2022 Australia Grand Prix.
That is Carlos Sainz in the gravel on the exit of turn 10.
Holy cow, that was close.
6 for Daniel Ricciardo.
Williams seem to be struggling. Well, most of the Mercedes power unit teams for that matter, especially Aston Martin, but that's a story for another day. Williams seems to be back where he used to be, one of the slowest teams on the grid, barely getting points whatsoever. Last season they seemed to be gaining a bit of momentum with the likes of George Russell getting a podium, if you want to call it that, in Spa, and of course their double points in Hungary. Going into these new regulations, they were hoping that they would propel up into the midfield fight. Unfortunately, the opposite happened, but due to a bit of luck, or maybe just genius strategy in Australia, they were able to get into the top 10 when they were actually planning on finishing in P20. Let me tell you how this happened. You see, there have been some changes to the Albert Park circuit for the 2022 Formula 1 season. They've removed a couple of these bad chicanes, making the track flow way better. This also means that the speed of the circuit has increased a lot. Now with this new asphalt being laid down, it means that tyre degradation could be a lot higher. The FIA also went for an odd decision here, choosing 3 tyre compounds but skipping one. They went for the C5, the C3 and the C2, skipping the C4. How strange. So this meant that strategy seemed pretty unpredictable. And Williams, who predicted they'd become P19 or P20 or something along those lines, they went for a very bold strategy. Out of the 58 laps that were completed during the Australian Grand Prix, Alex Albon was on one set of hard tyres for 57 of them. Now you are mandated to switch tyres once during the race and use 2 different tyre compounds, so when the final laps were coming to an end, it was getting very close for Alex to get into the pits, because if he didn't, he would have been seriously penalised. So how did Williams pull this off? How did they get 1 point when they were on one tyre compound for the entire race? So I think that Williams kept Alex out on the hards to try and go for an overcut, or they were betting on another safety car coming out. Because if you pit under a safety car, the car's already going slowly. This means that you won't lose as much time as if they were going full pace. But of course this didn't happen, so the team decided to finish the race in the pit lane. Now this is extremely risky, as the location of your pit box depends on whether you can use the strategy or not. For example, if your pit box was before the finish line, then you can do it and cross the finish line with a new set of tyres. But if your pit box was after the finish line, and you've already finished the race, then it's kind of hard to pit for new tyres and use 2 sets of tyres if you already crossed the finish line, if you get what I mean. Luckily for Alex and Williams, their pit box was in the perfect spot. So Williams decided to keep Alex on the hards for 57 laps. Then he fitted on some new tyres on the final lap and crossed the finish line with his new set of tyres in the pit lane. Now this was genius, because he probably would have lost loads of positions and time if he went a lap before, because the cars behind him were loads quicker. And it also kind of helps that the speed limit in the pit lane was increased by 20 km an hour. Now if you have enjoyed the video this far, please do consider subscribing. It's free, only takes a few seconds, and you can always unsubscribe this if you want. Thanks. Now this is not the first time we've seen the strategy be used. Michael Schumacher used it to win the 1998 British Grand Prix. Michael was racing Mika Häkkinen for the win in the pouring rain, but Häkkinen had such a massive lead over Schumacher, but then he spun into the gravel trap. But still this wasn't enough to give Schumacher the lead. But as the conditions worsened, a safety car was put out. This meant Mika Häkkinen's lead had gone down to pretty much nothing. Michael Schumacher closed up to him, and with 10 laps to go, Häkkinen was a sitting duck, and Michael Schumacher flew past him. But then Schumi was given a 10-second stop and go penalty for passing someone under the safety car. But he didn't take this penalty until the final lap of the race. When he was just about to cross the finish line, he dove straight into the pits to serve his penalty, and then won the race from the pit lane. Now in a sport where milliseconds can make a massive difference, the Williams team seemed to be able to save about 14 seconds by not pitting. Does this mean that we could see no-stop races in the future? What if the FIA decides to abolish the rule that you have to use 2 different tyre compounds during a race? Or maybe it depends on the track, or maybe it's just these new 18-inch tyres. Maybe they last longer. Do we even need pit stops at all? Well, in my opinion, pit stops are a key part of Formula 1, and it wouldn't be the same without it. So yeah, I think pit stops are here to stay. But maybe it won't be mandatory, who knows. But yeah, that's my view on why I think Alex Albon and the Williams team were geniuses during the Australian Grand Prix. With that said, I'd like to thank you for watching. I've been Connor, do subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.